Thanksgiving is supposed to be a time of family togetherness, but this year, in these tough economic times, lots of folks can't afford to travel far. It looks like home for the holidays will mean exactly that for hundreds of thousands of Americans.
This year for us, it's just about being simpler, being closer to home.
According to AAA, the number of people traveling 50 miles or more this Thanksgiving will drop for the first time in 6 years, thanks in large part to the struggling economy.
With financial crunches and family obligations, and we just had to cut back.
The airline industry is taking the biggest hit, with 24 million expected to fly over the 12-day holiday period. That's a 10% drop from last year.
I've missed both Thanksgiving and Christmas before, and it's not fun, but, you know, you make it work.
Is it too late to find an affordable way to get home? And if you really can't make it, what's the best way to cope? Mark Orwoll of Travel and Leisure and psychiatrist Dr. Janet Taylor are both here. Good morning to you both. Thanks for being with us. Mark, let me start with you. We saw in the piece people are having a hard time getting home this year. Is this all the economy? Is there anything else to it? How bad is it?
Well, the airlines have been actually reducing their capacity for the last 6 to 12 months. That is, they're flying fewer planes and flying smaller planes because if they can keep those planes full, it's more efficient and more profitable for them. And of course, as passengers, people are having to think twice because of the credit crunch, the poor economy. They're thinking twice about whether they can really afford to travel this year. That's why we're seeing the decline of about 10% over last Thanksgiving.
And Janet, if we can't get home, we can't afford to get home, how do you deal with the guilt of not being able to be with your family at this time of year?
Sure, there's a pressure reality, and the first is to tell yourself you're going to have a guilt-free holiday. It'd be one thing if you're intentionally trying to avoid home, which some people may do, but if you're not trying to do that, then give yourself a break and find other ways to cope. You can connect by writing letters, you can connect by sending a picture, you can make a phone call. The key is to let your family know you're thinking about them, but ease off the guilt.
And the biggest, this is hitting the most, is college students who are having a real hard time getting home. Is this all because they want to wait and just go home 6 weeks later, you know, for Christmas, or is there more to it than that?
Well, I think a lot of college, there are no numbers on this, but a lot of college students are having to make the decision. Do I go home for Thanksgiving? Do I go home for Christmas? Because I can't afford to do both. In fact, we're actually adopting, my family adopting a couple of college students for Thanksgiving dinner. My nephew, who's going to school in upstate New York, he can't afford to get back to California, both for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and we're seeing a lot of that across the country. Well,
with fewer people traveling then, how does that translate into, you know, how many people we're going to see at airports and on the roads this time of year? Are we going to even feel a difference?
Well, don't fool yourself, although there is a 10% decline. That's over compared to the busiest travel period of last year. So the airports are still going to be busy. The planes are going to be 90 to 100% full. On the highways, we're going to see about the same, a slight drop, 1.2% less. But with the gas prices now slightly under $2, we may even see more people on the highways than last year. So it's still going to be busy.
Busy and crazy and stressful, Janet, right? And how do you deal? I mean, we talk about this every year, but if we're not really going to feel any difference in the amount of people traveling and all the craziness and stress, how do you cope with that?
Well, understand that you're still going to feel stress because holidays trigger memories, and memories bring up emotions, and people are feeling pressure to provide gifts and make all these dinners. Understand that, and if you can't make it for the holidays, take the time to rest. Do something that you'd like to do. Mark, it's a great suggestion. Reach out to families or your roommates who may be able to take you, but understand what you need and then find a way to make it happen.
And Mark, any last-minute deals for people who are saying, okay, you know what, I think I do want to go home after watching Jen on the Today Show right this second, and Mark and Janet as well.
Surprisingly, there are. If you go on to kayak.com, if you compared Boston to L.A. over this Thanksgiving, round-trip airfare, be $660. But if you're willing to go to Manchester Airport instead of Logan Airport and fly from Thursday morning and then come back on Tuesday, you get that same flight for $240. So there are deals out there, Jenna.
So if you want some great deals, right? Just making sure, guys. Mark Orwoll and Dr. Janet Taylor, thank you to you both. Up next.